Hello, Tumblr. It is me, Devin. I asked for people to send me questions to answer in a video, and some of you answered. So, thank you. Thank you for that. You guys are fantastic. My first question is from Tech Sergeant Jen, who asked me, "Please tell us about your first experience with science fiction." My first experience with science fiction, my first chronological experience with science fiction, I can't tell you a whole lot about. Because when I was a couple of weeks old, my parents, who were nerds, decided they were going to take their infant son with them to see a movie called The Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, I inherited my nerdery from them. A lot of it from both of them. What I first remember as my first experience with science fiction, like I was always into Star Wars as a kid. We went and saw Return of the Jedi when I was 3, I guess, and but other than Star Wars, the main thing that one of the first things I remember is being a really, really huge Voltron fan as a kid. And wishing that I had the Voltron lions that combine into a huge robot that you could use to fight evil across the galaxy. That was always one of the big ones, so I appreciated that. I liked Voltron, I liked Star Wars, I liked to run around with Star Wars. Pretend to be Han Solo or Luke Skywalker, lightsabery guy, stabbiness. Yeah, I just kind of forgot Luke Skywalker's name for a moment. That's a little embarrassing. Wow. I now welcome you to the video of Nudity and Nerdery Dementia, the early years. So, I'm going to move on to my next question, which is, what is your favorite sci-fi show from Be Humble, Be Noble, which I originally, looking down at it, I glanced at it, I thought it said Be Bumble, Be Noble, but I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. And then I realized that it was a spot on my monitor there. But no, I like that. I like your username. It's who said that? It's a proverb or something. The "Be humble, for you're made of the earth. Be noble, for you are made of the stars." It's good. Your question: what is your favorite sci-fi show? My favorite sci-fi show is Firefly. I look at it at this point, I'm like, wow, 3.5 minutes. I just haven't actually said a whole lot. Firefly is my favorite sci-fi show. Other ones that rank really highly, Battlestar Galactica's up there. Farscape. If you want to look at ones that aren't exactly straight up sci-fi, well, I mean, Community. We'll count Community sci-fi. You've got the Drumatorium. Then there are other things that come to mind that are technically fantasy, like Pushing Daisies. But yeah, Firefly. Firefly's good. Next, I have a slew of questions from Feigenbaum's World, which I may be mispronouncing that, and I apologize if I am. First one, what is your favorite bad joke? This is a joke that has been one of my favorites since I was a kid. So here you go. Man is really having a really terrible day. He lives in New York City. He goes up to a bar that's up on like the 75th floor of this building he works in. It's a terrible day, drinking really heavily. He's right there with the guy next to him, and the guy's like, "What's wrong?" And the guy next to him asks, "What's wrong?" And the man says, "Well, it's a terrible day. I got fired. I went home. My wife's cheating on me, and then my car broke down, and just everything's gone terribly wrong. And there is nothing good in the world for me to think about. So I just don't even understand why I should do anything other than just sit here and drink." Man next to him says, okay, you don't think there's anything good in the world. I'm going to show you something good in this world, alright? And pats him on the shoulder. He says, I'm the architect who designed this building. And I'm going to show you something amazing about it, alright? Look at that window there. Not many people realize it, but the air currents around this building come rushing up past that window. So when you step out that window, you just float in the air. You just float there. And the man says, no. No, that's crazy. There's no way that would work. Why? No, why would you even say that? So the architect says, okay, don't worry about it. You don't trust me. It's crazy. I will demonstrate. So the architect goes, opens the window, steps outside, and is just floating right there in midair. The man's just amazed. How do you do that? The guy says, okay, just come out here and I'll show you. Architect goes back in the window, gives the guy a hand. Man steps out the window and falls 75 floors to his death. Architect closes the window and goes back to the bar and takes another drink. Bartender looks at him and says, you know, you're really a jerk when you're drunk, Superman. And that has always been one of my favorite jokes. It's actually not that terrible of a joke, but I got a large part of the way through it before I realized that. So for my best, I'll go for a shorter bad joke, which is one of my favorites. And all my bad jokes apparently involve bars, because this one, a skeleton walks into a bar and says, give me a beer and a mop. In my senior year of high school, a girl told that to our entire choir class on Halloween, and of the 85 people in our choir, I was the only person who laughed. So, the next question is one that's going to actually take some thought, so I will come back to this one. Don't think that I'm forgetting it, because there's going to be a second video later. Next, we'll go with, who is your favorite Buffy character and why? My favorite Buffy character is probably Spike, because Spike is the fucked up, terrible poet who has no reserve, and he is just pure emotion and raw force, and I love that about him. And he's kind of reprehensible at times for certain things, but I like him anyway. Next question is, who's your favorite character from the entire Whedonverse, and why? My favorite character from the entire Whedonverse, and I'm going to look her up really quick to make sure that I've got her last name correctly, because I love her so much. Because I'm going a little bit outside of the box. Oh, it doesn't even have her last name on Wikipedia. Well, my favorite character in the entire Whedonverse is Dandelion from Sugar Shock. Because Sugar Shock is possibly the greatest thing that Joss Whedon has ever created in my mind. And you know how I love Firefly, and you know how I love Dr. Horrible, and I love everything else, but there is nothing that I adore quite so much as Sugar Shock. Because she hates Vikings a lot, for no particular reason. Next question is, do you like reading horror novels? Which I'm not a really huge horror novel fan. But the follow-up is, if so, what's your favorite? And I do actually have an answer for this one, because my favorite is, and I'm looking over to my right because it's probably on a bookshelf over there, but I can't get it, but I'm still looking anyway. My favorite horror novel is probably Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. I just found it on the shelf. The fantastic thing is, a few months ago, I won a thing on Twitter with Joe Hill where he sent out autographed copies of, we got Heart-Shaped Box, and we got Horns, and we might have gotten 20th Century Ghosts, I don't remember. We got the first couple collections of Lock and Key, and he autographed all of them, and they've got little drawings on them. It's fantastic. It was so cool. Joe Hill is one of those people who I really like to follow on Twitter because he's an awesome guy. Like, there are some people on Twitter who I like to follow because they're really cool. Neil Gaiman, Nathan Fillion, Neil Patrick Harris, they're all awesome. Joe Hill is one of them. There are unfortunately a few people I have followed on Twitter, and then I'm like, oh, I like you as an actor, but I don't really necessarily like you that much as a person with some of your political opinions. Adam Baldwin. But that's okay. I don't have to like everybody. So that's 11 minutes of me rambling. I have a couple more questions that I'm going to answer, and I will come back and do those after I have lunch. So there we are, and enjoy that first part of the question. I will be back later. Talk to you later, Twitter. Tumblr. Wow. Calling a social network in like an internet site by its wrong site. That's awkward. Sorry, Tumblr. I still love you. Bye.